All right, everybody. Cinephile Mike is here, and it is episode 6 of Oscar Rewind Season 2, my bi weekly series of videos dropping every Tuesday and Friday, where I reflect on the past work of this year's Oscar nominees and winners. I dig deep into those IMDb profiles, and my hope is that you are going to discover a new, older favorite, or maybe revisit something you haven't seen in a while. As always, I'll be discussing the Oscar connection, the awards history for the film, the box office information, the critical response, and as always, these reviews are spoiler free. Before we jump in, quick plug, do me a favor, click that subscribe button, like the video. You definitely want to be a part of all the cinematic goodness that's going to be coming at you this season. So, if you've been with me, you know that we are in the first month and a half, roughly, since the Oscars, and we are looking at those producers who were nominated for Best Picture this year. Now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to maybe hit every single producer. There's a lot of people I'm trying to get to this season, but I am going to get to at least one per film that we had this year. Now, for today's film, I'm talking about Screen Media Films' The Private Lives of Pippa Lee. Written and directed by Rebecca Miller, based on her own novel of the same name, the film was released in the fall of 2009. Now, during its release, the film made $337,356 domestically and an additional $2,523,617 for a worldwide total of $2,860,973. Critically, the film is certified fresh on the critic side with a score of 69% from 75 reviews and a rotten popcorn meter score of 50% from over 10,000 reviews. Award season wise, this film won Outstanding Achievement in Casting for a low budget feature in dramedy or comedy. In drama or comedy. Dramedy. It fits. From the Casting Society of America, and it had 4 other nods: a Buried Treasure nod from the Clotrudis Awards, these being another series of awards that recognizes independent films. Miller was nominated for Best Women Storyteller by the Women Film Critics Circle, and there were 2 nods from the Alliance of Women Film Journalists: Best Woman Screenwriter for Miller, and a nod for the film's lead, Robin Wright, for Actress Defying Age and Ageism. As for its Oscar connection, The Private Lives of Pippa Lee's producer, Dee Dee Gardner, and executive producer, Jeremy Kleiner, were both nominated this year for Best Picture as 2 of the lead producers on Nickel Boys. Now, had they won, it would have been their 3rd win, as they are previous Best Picture winners for being amongst the producers for Moonlight and 12 Years a Slave, working with Brad Pitt in Plan B. So, what is this film about? Well, it's right there in the title. Pippa Lee, played by Robin Wright, is sort of at a crossroads. Her husband, Herbert, or Herb Lee, played by Alan Arkin, and her live in a senior retirement home. Though Pippa is nowhere near this age, her husband is. And where she is, she's trying to figure out what she's going to do now with her life. Since marrying Herb, Pippa has become the perfect housewife and mother, these choices being the result of an interaction with Herb's first wife, Gigi Lee, played by Monica Bellucci in flashbacks from years ago. And at this point now in the future, Pippa has 2 grown children, and the relationships with them vary. She has a good relationship with her son, who's a successful lawyer. His name is Ben, played by Ryan McDonald, and a more fraught, distant relationship with her daughter Grace, played by Zoe Kazan, who is a war photojournalist. Now, as things begin to feel a little trapped, an interaction with a younger man, Chris, played by Keanu Reeves, has Pippa start to question everything. And as she makes her next steps, we get to see into these, private lives, this past life. Pippa, in those younger formative years, is played by Blake Lively, and we see her as she navigates away from her parents, Des Sarkisian, played by Tim Guiney, her Christian pastor father, and Suki Sarkisian, played by Maria Bello, who was always obsessed with Pippa's looks when she was growing up, and clearly suffering from some tragic mood swings, as we do see in these flashbacks that Suki was heavily medicated. Now, as Pippa strives to be free, we will see her run from her more strict Christian home, experience some life with her Aunt Trish, played by Robin Weigert, and her girlfriend Kat, played by Julianne Moore. We will meet the new love of her life, Herb, played in these flashbacks in a wig sporting Arkin, and select others as we see who she becomes and where she is now. And now, when other life events emerge, Pippa's life, we see, will never be the same. And I realize how cliche it is that I just said that. My apologies, but really that's the best way for me to explain it without really digging more into spoilers. Here's the thing. The Private Lives of Pippa Lee is not a bad movie, it's just a bit underdeveloped. In a brief runtime of about 93 minutes, that's taking out opening and closing credits, it tries to cram a little too much plot and supporting characters in, and as a result, neither one is really fleshed out. Although it does provoke some interesting questions about the events that happen to us and what causes us to act the way we do. Couldn't help but wonder if this wouldn't have maybe been served better as a miniseries. I haven't read Miller's source novel, but it seems like there might have been a lot that she removed. I'm actually a little interested to go back and read it. That said, the one thing that really does anchor this movie is Wright. She's absolutely wonderful in this film and really carries it. She has this very gentle touch with the adult Pippa, which is very much a flip from the way we see younger Blake Lively play younger Pippa. So it's a nice choice, and it allows the other characters she's interacting with to kind of go a little bigger as she tries to figure out what's happening, building towards the ending of sorts that we get. Additionally, I understand that casting wind. I mean, this cast is stacked, and they do the best that they can with the script that they have. And while I mentioned most of the cast, I mean, we have some big ones here. At the time we have Julianne Moore, we have whoa, Maria Bello, and we also have Shirley Knight, who plays Dot. Keanu Reeves is character's mother, and we also have Winona Ryder playing Sandra, who's one of Pippa's best friends in adulthood in this present time. In the flashback scenes, Bello actually is probably the second strongest performance in the film, but she's a little underused because we keep, jumping back into the Pippa's present day, so we don't really get to see too much Bello, which is unfortunate because that was an interesting chapter into the life. Also, Pippa's experience with her aunt and the girlfriend, I mean, with Weigert and Moore, they're wonderful, but they're like almost blink and you miss them because their scene in that pocket is so fast, and yet you can't help but see how that was a real important trigger. So again, it's a lot of great pieces here that don't fully gel because they're rushed. And then there's other characters that serve their purpose in the present time, like Reeves and Ryder, our Dracula couple reunited again. Um, but it's too much plot for them to get through. And the other thing with the script is it kind of doesn't know what it wants to do. It's too scared to really go into the darker side of the topics it raises about like mental illness and divorce and others that, for again, want a spoiler, I'm going to keep out. Or does it want to try to lean a little bit more into its comedy, which unfortunately results in it being flat because of some of the more dramatic circumstances we're in? That said, as an earlier project for Gardner and Kleiner, and we see the careers that they've had, they're the reason why I'm talking about this film, why I watched it recently, seeing why they signed on as producer and executive producer, respectively. I get it. And look, the casting, again, with the script, not a bad performance in the batch. So look, here it is. In all, The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, for me, it's a good, basic 3-star film. Wright is absolutely delightful, and Bello has some really strong moments. If you would like to see The Private Lives of Pippa Lee, as of this recording, it is streaming and posting for free with ads on Crackle and Pluto TV. Otherwise, it is available ad-free for digital rental or purchase on most platforms. So, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Oscar Rewind. If so, please, I ask you again to make sure you hit that subscribe button, like the video, share the video, shoot me a comment. Let's make this conversation bigger. As always, you can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and on Letterboxd, and find lots of great additional cinematic goodness on my website, cinephilemike.com. All right, Happy watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.